Hello, friends.
Hi.
Hi, friends. How you guys doing?
Good.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll, of course.
Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of Mal-Hablados in MultiLingual TV. My name is Javi. I'm the host. You see, my home is a rock and roll museum. I'm normally traveling the world, but when I'm home, I like to rock. So I welcome you all to my place. Today, we're gonna have the third episode of Mal-Hablados. And when we were building the show, we were talking about what can we discuss today? And we were discussing, we were analyzing a little bit the industry, the localization industry, and we said, when you see it from the outside, you think of translators, you think of people that are normally introverts, right? That that like to be at home doing their job from computers and stuff like that. And then when you get to know the industry, you start realizing that might not be such, right? That there's more to that. There's a lot of introverts and extroverts, and we all have to mix together, and then we all have to work together. And then a year ago, this pandemic struck, and then all our lives have changed ever since, right? So how do you deal, or how do you live in an industry originally built for introverts, being an extrovert, and vice versa? This is what we're going to discuss today. And for that, I invited two amazing friends, two powerful, beautiful, amazing women. Anne-Marie, who's here. Anne-Marie, hola.
Hola.
Directly from Formentera, although her passport says she's from Sweden, but her heart is Spanish. And today, Anne-Marie, hi, so you can say hello, you can introduce yourself, say what you're doing, who you are.
I'd be happy to. Thank you very much for having me, Javi. It's always a pleasure to hang around with you, Guy. My name is Anne-Marie Colliander. I am Spanish by heart, but according to my passport, Swedish. I'm based in Växjö, which is a city, not to overcomplicate things, closer to Copenhagen than Stockholm. So
All
that's
right.
sort of in the southern part of Sweden. I'm a business consultant, and I'm also very much engaged in the industry community as a speaker in different events, and you might recognize me from various industry conferences that have happened over the years.
Yeah, especially from LocWorld. You're in the organization of LocWorld, and when I met you there, it was pure energy. So guys, today, Anne-Marie is here to represent the extroverts in the localization industry.
That's what you call me.
That's what you are, por favor. And now I have another surprise for you. I don't know if she's been in panels before. I haven't asked her, it's my bad, or in any of these Zoom events, Zoom fatigue, right? We're gonna fight Zoom fatigue today. Come on. Which she's called Maya. Maya is Russian, and Maya is here today because she wants to represent introverts in our industry, right? Hola, Maya. Привет.
Hola, Javi. Thank you so much for invitation. I'm really glad to be here with you and with Anne-Marie. Yeah, I'm here today to represent all the introverts in our localization industry. So now I'm based in Russia, in St. Petersburg, actually. And previously I've been living abroad for 5 years, but now I'm back. Yeah, and now I'm working as a localization engineer at Kofax. And that's basically it about me.
Nice. So, well, friends, here you are, these two beautiful, powerful ladies who are going to represent one the introvert and the other the extroverts. And just a brief reminder about how Mal-Hablados goes. We fight Zoom fatigue. I don't believe in Zoom fatigue. I believe in bad content. Think about how many hours of television you were watching before you got into the pandemic, right? And nobody complained for watching television, right? But you complain about this terrible content. So today, what we do in Mal-Hablados is we invite people that you know from our industry, or people that you need to know from our industry, to discuss interesting topics, to fight Zoom fatigue. And the most important part of Mal-Hablados is that you, as the audience, you who has registered here on Zoom for the full experience, we want to hear your questions because you're going to be selected we're going to connect your camera, your microphone, and you're going to come on the stage and join us. So it's a little bit like a clubhouse discussion with the camera and the microphone on, right? So please start leaving your questions here because we're gonna kick off this conversation now. I'm gonna ask 5 questions and then we start selecting the friends. Okay? Everybody ready, my friends? Yeah. Vamos. So when we were preparing the other day for the show, I was thinking about the basic assumption, right? That translators are normally tagged, labeled as introvert people, and I was like, really? What do you think? Is this true for the localization industry as a whole? What do you think, Maya? What is your opinion on introverts in the localization industry?
I noticed basically that people that are in the leading position or vendors, for example, they are sub-manager vendors, they are more likely to be extroverted because they have to communicate a lot with the people. And being introvert, it's basically coming from the development industry or also translators. I believe it's also related to how often and you engage with the people and how actually your work related to that. Myself, I can say that I'm introvert, but I have to adjust to extroverted word because sometimes quite a lot, I have to be in connection with different people.
Does it cost you? Is it difficult for you to do that?
It was basically it was difficult from the beginning because when I started to work in the localization industry, it's not include only like you report to your manager yourself, but you have to spread and like talk through different departments and communicate and sort out things. So yeah, I just came out of my cave and forced myself to talk because without it you're not doing your job properly. Yeah, nice, but I feel that some translators mostly beginners, they are very introverted.
You think?
People. Yeah, I know
this a skill you can. Oh, sorry. Please go on.
Yeah. Please continue.
I was asking. You think this is a skill you can learn as an introvert to open yourself up, or this is something that you were born with? What do you think about that?
I think it's a skill. Also, so basically, I truly believe that we are born this way, and it's also very affects on us the actually sphere where we've been growing. Like you growing up as an extrovert, introvert, but you can change. I think you can adjust to the spectrum and become somehow somewhere in the middle. Because I think it had happened to me. That's I have to be extroverted sometimes.
You are. To me, I think you're more introvert than extrovert than what you think, but let's see. And by the way, I just checked who's here with us on Zoom, and I have my friend Gary Lefman, Gary, I have to admit that you were the one that I thought of when we organized this show, because if you check his profile on LinkedIn, he says like, lockdown is the paradise for introverts. Maybe if he raises his hand later, maybe we will invite him to come and join us, right? And Anne-Marie, what do you think about the industry? Do you think it's an industry for introverts, for extroverts? What do you think?
It's a very difficult question. I mean, I think this is an industry led by people. We are a lot of different kinds of people. But I think what is really, true to this industry is that it's a very welcoming, very inclusive industry. So whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, I think you can find your way around and you can make friends regardless if you are an extreme networker, extrovert, or if you prefer to be more, silent listener. You will still make friends because it's such a welcoming and nice community that the localization industry represents. So
yeah.
I think we have all different kinds. And if there's something good coming out of the pandemic, I think that also the typical introverts are now finding their way into communication, because you do have this nice filter of technology. You don't have to be there in person. You don't have to go and tap someone on the shoulder or interfere in a conversation at the bar, but you can actually, just turn your camera on. You have the filter, you have the security of your home environment, and you can zoom out.
Yeah. Maya, did that happen to you? Did that happen to you? No. Really?
Yeah, but of course.
Home? We cannot wait to see you at LocWorld one of these days. Next, as soon as we organize this live again, right? And Marie?
Yeah.
So, and Marie, you had an amazing point on that, and of course, as I said before, our lives have changed in the last year, right? The pandemic struck. We cannot meet now. It seems some places getting better. We hope to see the end of the light of the tunnel now, right? But we've adopted this year, during the last 12 months. I mean, I believe we did it already before, but we highly, especially adopted the way of communicating on Zoom, right? And as I said in the beginning, there's this disease now called Zoom fatigue, which I said I don't believe in it. I believe in good and bad content that you watch or you see or you participate in. But it exists, right? It exists, right? And the other day, I was reading an article that came out on the Washington Post. And it said, very surprisingly, that we extroverts, because I'm an extrovert big time, we suffer more of Zoom fatigue than introverts. And I was like, really? Maya, what do you think? Why do you think that happens?
I can relate to that because I do have fatigue. I mean, Zoom gives us a lot of opportunities. For example, meeting people that even 1 year ago, I couldn't imagine that it would be so easy to communicate with, for example, people from our industry. That easy, like participating in your show, for example. I couldn't imagine that. Yeah, but I do have fatigue. Because whenever I meet, for example, my colleagues, I'm extremely happy to see them live, not via camera or via Zoom, but like it gives me so much happiness. So I would like to be back to normal, even though I think Zoom or a platform like that will never disappear. And this is a new reality with the new opportunities for us.
It is. And do you believe in Zoom fatigue, Anne-Marie? What do you think about Zoom fatigue? Do you think that we extroverts suffer more of Zoom fatigue, or are they introverts, or what do you think?
Well, to be honest, I find myself more shy in the digital environment. Yeah, totally. I mean, it's in the physical environment, I feel it very natural to go and interact with people. I love to be on stage. I don't have a problem with that. But after a number of different networking opportunities and the various conferences that we have, and many of them happening in different, Remo or whatever the name of the platform is, I feel that I'm a little bit more shy and more reluctant to. Yeah, totally. And
guys, we're recording this, right? We are recording this.
But actually, one thing that happened to me was that I attended one of the conferences, and they had speed networking. And I don't know, maybe I didn't read the instructions well enough, but suddenly I was there and I was randomly connected with one person on a one-on-one on camera. And I felt so embarrassed. I had to switch off.
Wow.
And I had to pause and was like, shoo, what just happened to me? I had to talk to a stranger on camera, and I wasn't prepared to do that. And that, I don't think that would ever happen if someone had approached me in a physical environment, in a bar, at a conference, at an airplane, at an airport, I don't know where. I would never feel that kind of disconnect. And to be honest, I mean, there's just so much digital content now that we can participate in, either with camera, be there, or be squared. So I do think that the success of Clubhouse and its similarities has to do with that, just knowing that I can be in my pajama, I can do laundry, I can listen into conversations.
We're all in pajamas here, right? I mean, you don't want to see, but you might be all in pajamas. You know that, right?
Yes. I'm not going to show you, but yes, I am. No, but I think the success of Clubhouse is a result of a Zoom fatigueness.
Yes, you think?
To not having to be on camera. Oh, that's so
okay.
Nice.
All right. That makes a lot of sense. But let me ask you this as well. Do you think that this might be intergenerational or generational related as well? Like, I mean, I'm a millennial, you're Gen X. Like Maya, we could tell her like, how old are you? 22, 23? We'll get you like a generation below me. Do you think that might be related? Do you think that might be related? Like the Zoom fatigue, the fact that people are getting tired of showing their face in the camera, becoming shy, changing their behaviors. Could this be some generational thing related to generational things?
What do you think?
I'm by far the oldest, so I'm going to leave it to you youngsters to answer that question.
Nato says you're never old you have to you always remain young in your head. That's why that's a saying by him that I will take from here to the rest of my life. So so it's okay, fine. So we leave the question there. Maybe we leave it and maybe we'll ask it to the question to the audience afterwards. I think I can think of a Gen X buddy here who's with us, Juanma López. He might want to talk about this later because we're going to connect. He's going to connect and join us. And so Zoom is definitely not fulfilling our lives right now. So okay, so we talk about this right now. And this is a question to both of you as well. And I want to know, how do you feel about being classified as introvert or extrovert? And let's start by Maya. Maya, how do you feel when somebody tells you, "Oh, you're an introvert"? How do you feel about that?
I feel bad kind of about that because we have like stereotypes about introvert that they are hard to approach, always shy, never speak to anyone, just sitting in their dark corner. I just think that I don't know, this labeling being an introvert, it's usually something negative in my point of view. But I think there's nothing wrong. Being extrovert, it also has some cons and pros, the same as being introvert.
It does.
Yeah.
We fuck up all the time, right? We open our mouths when we shouldn't sometimes, right? So
I do the same, so it's not related.
Okay, so it's not a thing for both. Okay, fine. That makes sense. And what do you think, Anne-Marie? Tell us. What do you think about being classified as an extrovert?
Well, the interesting thing is that, most people think exactly that I'm an extrovert. And
you're not? Who do we have here?
I typically call myself an anti-social extrovert because there are moments where I definitely don't want to talk to anyone. And I just experienced that. I frequently go to Stockholm, which is the capital of Sweden. It's like 4 hours drive from here. And we don't really have a lockdown here, so we can travel somewhat freely. And I have an apartment there. And I just realized last week when I went there that I have zero interest of connecting with my neighbors in my apartment in Stockholm.
Tell my neighbor downstairs when I play the music loud. She doesn't have any interest in connecting with me either. So
no, but here where I live, I have neighbors, I have people, I socialize, I go out, I go walk with my dog, and so on and so forth. But when I enter a new environment like that one, I have zero interest of interacting with anyone. It's like and don't you dare address me at an airplane. I buckle up. I put in my headset and it's like, leave me alone. Don't you dare disturb me, because traveling for me is like energizing myself. I recharge my batteries and I don't want people to talk to me in that environment. So I don't know if you can call myself a circumstantial extrovert or, sometimes an introvert. So I need to have free time. I need to be by myself. I need to be totally in my own bubble to energize myself enough to be able to be an extrovert. Does that make sense? No?
That sounds super cool. And for that, we should thank whoever created the sound isolation things of the headsets, right? So for us,
100%.
Thank God. So for the friends who are watching here today, we're extroverts, but we also love our peace, okay? And I don't know, I agree with you. Like, I like PlayStation, and when I'm playing, I don't want to have nobody around, like, bugging me or my mother sending me 25 WhatsApp messages, right? Then they was like, oh, but you're supposed to get extra. You're supposed to be there all the time, like, replying, right? And yeah, we also need our time, right? So there's both, there's a lot involved, right? So let me ask you another couple of questions, because, we're going to finish in 25 minutes and we want at least 15 minutes for the friends to connect here. And I'm thinking who I'm going to choose. And I think Gary Lefman should start getting ready. Juanma López should start getting ready as well. And my friend Catherine Christaki, maybe she should start getting ready as well. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. And we have a question as well in the chat here. Wait a minute. Let me check it. Detelina. Oh, okay. So thanks to Zoom, and I participated in so many events during the last year. I'm grateful, but I find it harder as an introvert. Networking in person is scary, but there's more space for small talk. Indeed. So how do our personalities shift in virtual settings versus real life situations? How are you different, introvert, in camera here, as you are an introvert when you see somebody, when you're networking or in an event or with friends face to face? How are you? Tell us about that difference. Tell us, how do the personalities shift?
How the personality shift? I think I get used to Zoom meetings, so I don't see the difference me behaving in the face-to-face in the Zoom, because I consider it new reality. But definitely we behave different. Yeah, we definitely behave a bit different way. Also, being an introvert, I can say that communicating in person, you expose yourself more, and I think you get way quicker with the person, even if it's a business meeting or work-related meeting. Also, maybe probably because of the body language, because of your posture and something like this. Okay. I can tell you the example. For example, when I just started to work here as a localization engineer, I had a talk with my colleague, and she seemed to me really straightforward, really tough girl, and so on. And I had this impression because it was really low context. And when I started to get her really well, it became for me the most beautiful, the most soft person that I ever know. So this is a difference, because whenever we connect via Zoom or via messages, we couldn't get the whole context, what the person are, and yeah.
Makes sense. Like, I'm standing on one foot now. You don't see me, but I'm standing on one foot. Maybe I wouldn't be doing this if I was in LocLife, right? Being me, I probably would do it, right? But so let me ask you then. Let me direct the question to you, Marie. How do our personalities shift in virtual settings versus when we are in LocLife, for example, or in a face-to-face event? How do you think that our personality shift? Like, Maya says that she has seen that in one of her colleagues, that she thought it was going to be like a monster, and now she's like amazing, right? Because she had the possibility of meeting her like in face, and it's different. It happens to everybody. I'm pretty sure it happens to everybody here. Like, how many of us introvert, whether we're introverts or extroverts, still don't know many of the colleagues that we've been working for the last year, right, face to face? So how's that going to change, right? So what do you think, Anne-Marie?
I think, at least for myself, the minute I start talking, I engage my hands, right? So for me, in a conversation, in an environment, it's all about body language. And the body language is, it's such a huge part of myself, my own persona. So I'm having a little bit of difficulties to, have to handcuff my hands behind my chair, behave properly, not wave too much in front of the camera, because that disturbs the zoom in, zoom out. But so that for me is a challenge. So often when I'm engaged with, now I'm sitting down, but if I'm asked to give a presentation or host a webinar or something on Zoom, I always stand up, because standing up makes me more natural, like if I was in a physical environment, which helps me position myself in the way that I would do. But I think what is happening, and I can recognize that with the companies and the customers that I'm consulting, that the technology filter that we are behind makes everything a little bit more flat. And I realize myself that in a network environment, I have more difficulties remembering people than,
that's interesting.
I never forget a person if I had met the person in real life, you see the person in front of you. But in this environment where everything is flat, it's not as easy to recognize the person later on.
Yeah.
That is one of the negative effects of the filter, the technology filter. On the other hand, if I'm in a networking environment with someone, I can immediately Google him or her. I can go to LinkedIn. I can check who that person is, and no one will notice that is what I'm doing in the background. But I still think that the technology filter makes everything a little bit more flat, which
that's a trick that Joseph Kubowski taught you, right? That's a trick that Joseph Kubowski taught you, because I remember when I started, he was like, okay, now so you go on LinkedIn and check who he is, and you talk to him, you address him in a different way.
But normally, Javi, what I would do after a conference is that I would have a bunch of business cards, and I would do that when I'm on the flight home. I wouldn't do that in front of the person. Now I can do that in front of the person with him or her not even knowing that I'm doing that. But the technology filter makes it a little bit more blurry. And for myself, and maybe this is an age thing, I saw the comment from Tucker that there was something coming in from, another chat window, that it's a generation shift for sure. Maybe it's because I'm so darn old that
Oh my God, don't say that. I wanted to say that. No, stop it. Stop. Not on my show. No. Not on my show.
No, I'm sorry. No, but
to say that.
No, but I find it more difficult to remember people. I'm honest.
Yeah?
I find it more difficult to remember people. They leave, less of an impact or an impression to me in the digital forum.
Okay, that's interesting.
Sorry.
And I have another question before we start asking our friends and the audience. And now, especially, well, I would say like if you're in a client-facing role, but it's not only that. How can you build your own virtual personal brand nowadays via virtually? Be an introvert versus an extrovert. How do you do that? For example, Maya, tell me. Have you thought about it? Your personal brand?
Go. I have to adjust to the new reality and just pretend that I'm extrovert and try to be socially active. So active at the social platforms as much as I can to be visible. Yeah, and I think it's a general rule for both of us, for extroverts and introverts. Just it's a new reality. We have to adjust, and I think that if you would like to progress somewhere, you have to build your own social face, social picture of yourself with the social networks.
Yeah. You're gonna have to do it. Like I was before today, I was talking with a friend who's a consultant in the States as well, and she was telling me how she being an introvert. How I was thinking like, how should I do to approach my first clients or to build networks, a network or friends that I haven't been able to build before with all these things. And I was like, well, you have to build your own story. You have to know how to tell it to the world and stuff, right? And just, that's super funny. Like I'm talking about a head of localization of a very big company in America who is leaving her job to do this. So everybody think about it, right? And as an extrovert, well, Anne-Marie, you are a legend. You build your brand. Tell us, and how have you adapted to the world of the pandemic?
Well, seriously speaking, in the beginning of the pandemic, it was like, okay, let's just adjust. Let's try to find a new, ways of communication. Let's try to be there or be squared, be an early adopter of the forums that, were created from all the different angles. Then I had a really, really deep down period when I just felt, I don't care anymore. I can just, I just wanted to pull my blankets over my head and disappear like a hedgehog in the autumn. But and then you just have to say, well, this is what it is right now. We have to adjust. We have to live with it. But I think what is really important is that, you need to select carefully what you do and where you engage. And I think it's not fair to think that you need to be everywhere to still exist. But I think that selecting carefully what environments you want to be at, what conferences you want to attend, what meetings you can or avoid. For me as a consultant, of course, I cannot avoid my meetings with my clients, but there are other things that I actually can bail out on. And I think that is, you have to be true to yourself.
Yeah.
Because whether it's a physical environment where you meet people one-on-one, face-to-face in networking environments, or if it's on Zoom or any other environment, if you're not true to yourself, if you're not comfortable in the chair or standing in front of the camera, it's not going to be a success. So be true to yourself. Do what drives your business forward. Be there for the things you need to be there for, and be there where you're having a good time. Because if you're not, it's not going to be a good turnout. Ooh, is it sunny over there?
my friends, now we have to give some room for the friends in the audience, because that's the key and the cool thing about Mal-Hablados. They want to talk as well. So I propose we give the microphone to Mr. Gary Lefman, if he's not very shy, to come on stage and talk with us and ask us a little bit about how he sees this conversation. And he's the one that inspired this talk. Gary.
Hi.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
You can hear us now?
Just as you announced me and wanted me to come and join you, Zoom crashed. But of course, you're changing me to a presenter, so now I know.
Gary, so good to see you. But for those who don't know, Gary is a localization engineer as well, just like Maya. He's in Cisco still, right? You're there as well, right? I mean, you haven't changed. Everything is the same, right? Since I saw you last.
Apart from the beard. It's my lockdown beard.
Yeah. So you inspired this conversation. That's true. And I hope that you will join us here. What is your take on this? What do you think about, as an introvert, how to build your personality, your brand? Because you're pretty well known. Everybody knows Gary Lefman, right? How did you do this? How do you look? And Maris is confirming. How do you do this? It's not the beer. We know that. Not because that's new. But how did you do this?
Just have to be present. That's it.
Yeah.
When I first joined the localization industry, I knew nobody. And it just took a really, really, really long time to get to know people. And things like LocLife conference, it took a long time to get involved with that and get to know people, recognize faces. So like Anne-Marie, it's very difficult for me to remember people once I leave conference, but it's taken many years to get to the point where I walk in the door and then I remember people's names just like that. It's amazing.
All right.
But being an introvert, and I'm quite happy to be one, I'm very proud of that fact, because we are powerful people. It's a case of you just have to put yourself in that situation to really become yourself and let other people know who you are. And don't be ashamed of it, because as an introvert, it's certainly not a bad thing. We're, like I said, we're powerful people, we're good people, we're slow burners, and we're here for the long haul.
Definitely. And let me ask you, I'm trying to always advocate for the use of more empathy as people, as professionals, as friends, as everything. How does an introvert leverage empathy to overcome their technically difficulties to network and relate, etc., and be as well known as you are, for example? How do you leverage empathy, for example? Tell me.
Well, empathy comes naturally, simply because we're not doing the talking, we're doing the listening.
Isn't this the best answer ever on a Zoom call? Right? That's amazing, Gary. That's amazing. And let me ask you, do you think there's like generational change here? Like, we millennials, we might make it easier because the use of technology that we were raised up with, or even younger generations than us, millennials, might find it easier to communicate whether you're an introvert or an extrovert through social media because nobody sees you. You put there whatever you want, right? You have to stay true to yourself, as you said. But do you think there's like that gap that maybe is more difficult to build a brand? I mean, your personal brand, or this being an introvert, another introvert, call it that way? What do you think?
Well, I'm Generation X. And my generation created the technology for the younger people. But it's not just for younger people, of course. I don't entirely believe that's true. I would say that certainly there is no clear line between the generations who would be more actively involved and utilizing modern technology to overcome their status in terms of whether they're an introvert or an extrovert or a bit of both.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That makes sense. So you don't think there's a very... And let me ask, and Marie, do you have anything to comment against? I mean, again, sorry, what Gary has said as the representative of the extroverts here?
Sorry, could you repeat that, please? Because I...
Oh no, I want to say that after hearing the good opinion of Gary about the use of empathy and about that the thing about it's not really about it's not about the technology, the age, right? If you have any comment on this.
What I think that, I mean, this digital format of everything that you do is that you really have to be, I don't know, over communicating. You need to be extraordinaire in everything that you give to your people, whether it's an employee or if it's if it's a customer or if it's a vendor, that you showing that you're there. It's the empathy part, and I love that, Gary. I mean, empathy comes natural for, thank God, most people, whether they are extroverts or introverts. And I think in these challenging times that we are in, empathy is really a true asset that you can use. Showing that little bit of, I'm here for you, I hear you, I listen, I can help you, I can introduce you, what can I do for you? All of these little things that you can assist your community with. And not only that it's a business win-win, I give something to you, I want something back. It's more like, this human approach to empathy, that I do care for you. And being able to show that through the technology filter, I think that's a true asset.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more in this regard. I couldn't agree with you. Gary, my friend, anything else you would like to comment? I miss meeting you, man. I really miss meeting you. It's been like a couple of years already, man.
I know. Soon we'll be together again.
Yes.
Thank you very much for putting this together. It was the title that just said, you've got to go to it. So I signed up.
You gotta go. Yes. Thanks, my brother. Thanks. I hope to see you very soon. I hope to see you very soon. Yep. Stay safe and stay good.
Go Introverts.
Yay.
Let me introduce now my friend Juanma López from Madrid, coming up on stage now. And just for your information, friends here and seeing us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, here on Zoom, Juanma is building also a show for the MultiLingual TV. It's going to be all in Spanish. So if you speak Spanish, don't forget to join Juanma's show. He's super cool. He goes to the gym very often. He's still finding a way to use his socks properly. And I'm not going to say why. But Juanma, hola. ¿Cómo estás, señor?
Hola.
Hola. Hey, Anne-Marie. Hey, Gert.
Hey, Himodu. What you don't know about Juanma is that he speaks Swedish.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
Nice. That's a skill. I sort of bribed. So let's say bribe Juanma the other day. Bro, what are you? Are you an introvert or are you an extrovert? He's like, I'm a convenient. I don't know, like whatever it is. So how can you define yourself?
I mean, I don't think there are people that are fully introverts or fully extroverts. I think there are different shades, right? And I don't know, I find myself somewhere in the middle of that. And I think it depends a lot on the people you meet on the way and on how comfortable you feel in every occasion. For example, the first time I went to a conference in 2019, I didn't want to go to the networking room. I just wanted to be at my room reading my book, as an introvert. But the last conference I attended, was NTIF 2019 with Anne-Marie in Göteborg, in Gothenburg. And I was like, yay, let's network, let's meet people, yeah. So, why? Because I already had this feeling that I really needed and wanted to meet other people. So, I am somewhere in the middle, but at times I am more into the 85, 90%, and other times I am more into, 20, 25. And I think we are all more or less like that, right?
And I have a question for you. I think it's interesting. Like, you are a business owner. You're a business owner. You own a service provider. And as a business owner, what do you think that brings more business? Being an introvert, being an extrovert? Does it count? Is it important? What do you think?
Yeah, it is important. Definitely being an extrovert.
Really? You think it's that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, it took a lot to, get out of my shell, get out of my comfort zone in order to meet other people that could connect me with other clients. So I think if you're an introvert, you can own a business, but then the sales department must be run by someone else, not by you. So, I mean, if you really want to attract sales and clients, you really need to get out of your shell and go to the 95% of extrovert, more or less.
Okay. So you think it plays a part, right? Because I think I had this conversation, I think with one of the participants at LocWorld, and this was a couple of years ago, and I think I was changing jobs, and he told me, I saw you relating with people, and I like the way you relate. Would you like to come and work with me one day? And I was like, yeah, that's a great thing, because I'm an extrovert, and I think the extroverts have if you're not pissing people off all the time with your stupid jokes and your being out of context thing, you can connect more technically, right? But then this potential employer of mine who was going to give me a job told me, man, that's good for you. That's the way you do business. That's the way you can do business. That's the way you can develop your career. But there's a couple of introvert salespeople that I cannot afford right now. Wow. So what do you think about that? Maya, you're too quiet. Are you an introvert? What do you think?
Indeed. But I completely agree with you. Actually, I think definitely if you run a business and the sales have to go to extrovert, because it's all about connection. And I truly believe so. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's my point of view, because I just feel that extroverted people are actually supposed to make sales, and to make all the promotions. I think it's the best,
Okay, Juanma. So, Anne-Marie, you want to say something? Tell us. You wanted to comment as well.
I don't agree, actually, because I think the best salespeople that I have been working with are more introverts than extroverts, because they are good listeners. Like Gary said, I can listen, because selling is not about telling. Selling is about asking questions. And if you don't listen to the answer that the customer is giving you, you are not able to give them the solution to whatever challenge they might have. So too much of an extrovert might be, there to prescribe before they analyze what the situation is all about, because they're talking too much. So I think an introvert can be an excellent salesperson, but the true success to being a good salesperson is to be able to establish relationships. And you can do that whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. And I must say, because Juanma, the first time we met was in Argentina, right? And you were the new kid on the block, and you were on my panel. It was such an amazing thing to have a person on the panel who was, a newbie, someone that most of the people had never met. And it was such great pleasure to have you there and to actually see you, if you don't mind me saying that, transform, standing there in the corner, a little bit, uncertain of where to position yourself. And then finally, there was this array of beautiful people around you after the presentation, and you were like, whoop, 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 one more.
Mal-Hablados connecting. I love it.
Suddenly, he was the star of the show, right? Remember? And you already had a fan club. He had more fans than I did. But he's better looking than I am. So
I was terrified. Oh my God, I was terrified that day. Oh, Jesus Christ. But yeah.
So you see, for the audience to take as a takeaway, you can succeed in anything you do, being an introvert, an extrovert, whether you are in sales, whether you're in as an engineer, as a program manager, as whatever, right? Everything's possible. It's a matter of attitude. There you go, Anne-Marie.
And I think, yes, it's a matter of attitude. And I always said, train for skills, hire for attitude. Because if you don't have the right attitude, you will never excel. But I'm coming back to what I said in the beginning. The language industry is such a welcoming community. So I think introvert, extrovert, combination, whatever you might be, there is a home for you in the localization industry. Because we are all about sharing and caring and a very inclusive community. So I think we all can find ourselves at home in this industry.
Indeed. Juanma, what can you tell us about your show, man? Tell us quickly. We need to wrap up in a second.
Well, this show will be aired in MultiLingual TV. It's in Spanish. Hopefully we can get some subtitles for the others to understand, or otherwise just learn Spanish. So, why not?
Otherwise learn Spanish. Maya, you know what you gotta do, right? Because Anne-Marie said, like, she always is like, I'm a very good Spanish listener.
I have to learn it.
Say that all the time. So
that's amazing language.
So, Juanma.
Bye.
Adiós, señor.
Thanks for having me.
Chaval.
Un beso, Javi. Bye,
Anne-Marie. Un abrazo grande. Crack. So we're out of time, but come on, you guys have 10 more minutes because I'd like to invite Catherine Christaki, who I haven't seen in a couple of years also. Let's see what she has to say about being an introvert and extrovert. She's a very renowned translator, right? Catherine, you join us?
Yes, indeed.
She is. She's everywhere in LinkedIn as well. Like everybody sees her posts, amazing. So
and
she's
on
very
Clubhouse.
connected. And on Clubhouse as well. Yeah, she's always on the community, like participating. If I'm not mistaken, she's in Newcastle, right? Or she's in England, right? Are you in England? Wait, let's see.
Hello, hi. I'm sorry.
We don't see you.
No video for sure because I have three screens with three events happening. There's one of women in localization happening.
Yeah.
Another Zoom account and two others. So it's a mess here.
If anyone watching wants to learn multitasking, reach out to Catherine, right? She knows.
Oh, yes. But with multitasking, most times you don't do it. No, not you don't do it, right? When you try to do a lot of things at the same time, you end up not doing any of them well. So it's not recommended. For sure. For sure.
Okay, so we are trying to find. I mean, the conclusion. I think it's pretty clear. Today we did this talk to show you guys two examples of successful people who can be an introvert, extrovert. Like actually, that was the last take we said when Juanma was here, right? And but let me ask you, Catherine, how do you define yourself? Do you define yourself as an introvert, as an extrovert? Are you leveraging whichever of the two whichever group you identify yourself with? Are you learning? Are you trying to be another? Tell us a little bit about that.
I'm an that's how I classify myself as an introvert. Nobody believes me, I
don't believe you.
why.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Why? But I completely freak out when I have, even now, that without video, I'm still, my heart rate is up, and I'm all worried that I'm going to say the wrong things in English. I'm worried about everything. But yes, and I'm usually mumbling, I speak too fast, whatever. But I am an introvert. I like being the person behind the scenes. I'm great at networking behind the scenes. So I think I'm quite good at email and social media when it doesn't have to do with actually, talking with people face to face. But, face-to-face networking, especially in person. And then also, we didn't have a different option virtually. That's how you, let's say the end goal is getting clients, right? But
or friends, or making friends. And let me rebate you, because and Maria knows that very well. And I was telling her I got into a networking event, one of those you said the other day, and somebody said, especially for translators, you need to learn how to properly network, because not all your connections are as good. And I'm like, wait a minute. I just jumped in, like, what are you talking about? Tell me what is a good connection and what is a bad connection. And the guy was like, well, somebody that you're not going to make business with, or somebody that you're going to make business with. I was like, wait a minute. Hasn't this happened to you before, that you were talking to a competitor and the next time you saw him, he's the guy that's going to buy from you? And that's networking? What kind of networking is that? Regardless of being introverts and extroverts, right? So what do you think?
Yeah, well, I think you never get, well, not never, that's not a nice word, but I never start networking with someone, and I don't even do it throughout a relationship by trying to sell. I'm horrible at that. I'm quite horrible. So I think it's all about, for me, it's all about helping, being there, connecting, really connecting, empathy, like you keep saying, and all that. If it happens at some point, they will, and it's, the selling part, the networking part, for me, from the beginning, when I started kind of not prospecting, networking, trying to get my name out there, branding or whatever, all these trendy words. For me, the only goal was that the only thing I want is that when someone thinks about Greek, they think of me. That's it. Not only for like sending us work. No, that's not the point. But if they need help with something that has to do with Greek, then it would be nice if they think of me, and then I will send them, I will recommend, I will whatever, help in any way I can. And,
okay.
Yeah, and I was thinking, what was it? It was an event the other day. I don't remember that. A few examples of client work coming my way because I asked. So my first contact with someone during networking at the conference was asking them for help for something. So I would ask. I remember asking that, and that's how my cooperation with SmartLink started. Weirdly enough, I remember in Istanbul at Gala, I attended. Oh my God, I'm having a meltdown now. I can't remember her name.
Switch off the other two screens, Catherine. Please, focus. We have 2 more minutes. Switch them off. Focus, and then we wrap it up.
Everything. No, Alison Toon. She was at that point. She was at SmartLink, and I remember, I attended the presentation of hers, and she mentioned working with at HP for years, and because of my specializations, it would be great for me. So I asked her after the presentation. I said, I learned a lot. Thank you. Great to meet you and all that. And I said, if I wanted to work with, do work Greek translations for HP, who should I contact? And she said, this is the person, send them an email. And that's great. Okay. And I did that. I didn't get a reply, but that doesn't matter. A week later, I get, an email from SmartLink saying, let's start doing Greek translations for us. I didn't even ask for that. That wasn't what I told her. But for whatever reason, she said,
your fear.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. It's weird that you ask or you offer or you help or you do something else. And that's one way of getting clients without selling, I hate selling.
Guys, so we have to build a how to sell without selling the Mal-Hablados next time.
Yes.
All right?
Yes, please. Yes. And for introverts, selling for
introvert. But Catherine, don't lie to us. You are an extrovert. Don't lie to us. We don't buy you. Ciao. How do you say that? I spend every year a few months in Greece. Last year I did 3, and I forgot how to say bye bye. I'm like, oh. And that's a wrap up. Thank you very much. Thanks very much. This is the 3rd episode of Mal-Hablados. We always plan it for less than it's coming, and we've been here for almost an hour with these amazing friends. How was it? You guys want to come back?
Of course.
Yes.
Definitely.
Of course.
Anytime.
Alrighty. So from Prague here, Javi, the host of Mal-Hablados, with these amazing, beautiful friends. We say bye to everybody.